There we go. There we go. Okay, we're on, we're on. I feel like I should have a guitar or something and be playing you guys some music. But thankfully there is no guitar around and I won't be singing for all of us. So how do we do this thing? Do I just take questions from the audience, or are you going to ask me questions?
I can ask you questions. We can take questions from the audience. You can start off by telling a story. What do you think, guys? We got any questions?
Anybody want to? Anybody got a question? That would be far more interesting than me telling a story. I see you over there. Yes, sir.
Yes. Does she train martial arts for the films?
I actually trained in martial arts, not particularly for films. This is a funny story. When I was a kid, my brother used to take kung fu lessons, and I would get shipped off to ballet on Saturdays. And you know, I was kind of a tomboy. I wanted to be just like my brother. And he would come back in the afternoons and teach me whatever martial arts he learned that day. And then he would set up fights with the boys in the neighborhood. And he'd like take money, take bets and stuff, and play like my manager and whatnot. And so I kind of developed this taste for fighting with boys at a very young age. And it lasted all the way until about the 5th grade, when I started noticing that boys started getting a little bit bigger and stronger, and it wasn't down to whoever cried first lost. And I got into a fight with Frank Abreu, who pinned me in front of the entire school on the basketball court, and to his credit, did not hit me, not one punch, but he kissed me in front of everybody. And that's when I stopped fighting boys for a while. And then it wasn't until I was in about maybe my 20s, my late 20s, that I had a roommate who got her black belt and invited me to her ceremony, and I met up with her teacher, and I started taking classes then in my late 20s, because I had always had this want to study martial arts. My parents wouldn't let me, they said, because I was a girl. And you know, coming from a Chinese family, there were a lot of things that I wasn't allowed to do because I was a girl, and it really pissed me off. So, of course, in my 20s, when I was living on my own, I took up martial arts, never intending to actually use it for my work, but it just so happened that it seems that people like seeing girls kick boys' butt. So I ended up using a lot of martial arts just because I could. And it's become a big part of my career. How's that for a story?
It's a good story. I like that story. Another question? Come on.
In Xmen 2, you played Destiny, which was a really tragic character in the movie. And I'm really kind of curious, did you actually do research for that character? Did you go out and look the character up and read the actual comics that she's in, or did you just go in there and play just this really tragic character?
Well, you know, you guys are probably going to hate me because you're all comic book fans, right? I did not even know who the X-Men were until the first movie came out. You know, I grew up in Hawaii, and we grew up with, you know, we had like the big ones like Superman and Batman and stuff, but we grew up with a lot of the Japanese comics and superheroes like Kikaida and Rainbow Man and Ultraman, and you guys are wondering who the hell those are. But yeah, so I didn't know a lot about the X-Men until the first movie came out. And then when I got cast, this was interesting, they didn't announce who I was auditioning for. They, in the breakdowns, because they didn't want to give away like what characters they were bringing in. So they had created these scenes that was for a completely different character who was supposed to be this red-haired reporter, so we read these scenes that were completely BS, that were like completely made up, and I was wondering why there were all these Asian girls reading for a red-headed reporter. And then they asked us to show our fingers, our hands in the camera, and I guess I had the scariest looking hands because I got cast. And it wasn't until I got cast and I was in for the fitting that the wardrobe person even told me who I was playing. It was a character called Lady Deathstrike. I was like, wow, she sounds cool. And so I was doing a interview on Fox News or something, or Fox Television or something, and I had let out that I was playing this character, Lady Deathstrike. And I wasn't supposed to even know who I was playing. And I got a call from the studio heads saying that they were very angry that I had let out all this information, and I was this close to getting fired. Yeah, but I didn't, luckily. And then after that, I was able to, like, you know, try to figure out who this person was, all this character. So it wasn't until after I got hired that I even knew who I was playing. And the writers had sent me some of the comics that they had gone, you know, shopping for and whatnot ahead of time, so I could kind of read. And when I first saw the character, she kind of looked like a man, right? I mean, she was all like, it looked like China should have been playing her. And I thought, this is gonna be hard to do. Like, I'm gonna have to buff up or something. So when we started to create the character, we realized that it couldn't look like the person in the comic because it just would have been too far off. And we kind of were able to create a different look for her, which was more modern and worked better for the film. And then apparently after the movie came out, they started doing comic books that looked like the movie character that we had created instead, which I think was pretty awesome. Yeah.
It's awesome. Question.
When you got into Phineas and Ferb, were you called for the audition, or did you just go down to audition with everybody else?
Oh, you're the guy who does all the voiceover. Yeah. So I do the character Stacy on Phineas and Ferb. Anybody know that show? Phineas and Ferb? Yeah. Yeah, we got some adult fans. Anyway, so when I got the call to audition for this, I had to audition for it like everybody else. It was one of the first voiceover gigs that I had ever gotten, so I had to still, you know, audition and prove myself. Now I get a lot of offers and stuff. I actually voice a lot of different characters. I do Cheshire on Young Justice. I do a lot of video games. I've done Knights of the Old Republic 2. I did Red Alert 3. I've done so many games that I've never even heard of. I just know that I get paid. But yeah, in that audition, it was really funny because they had this scene where I'm supposed to be like a boxing coach for Candace, and I'm screaming at her, and I'm like trying to, you know, get her all riled up for this fighting match and everything. And I think the only reason why I got the job was because I was the only Asian girl who could scream at the top of her lungs. All the other girls were way too shy and like too sweet, and I was just like going for it because I had all this fighting experience. Anybody else? Yes?
What was it like playing on the Vampire Diaries?
Oh, Vampire Diaries. Yeah, we got a lot of Vampire Diaries fans here. All the women, oh. They're like, yes, Ian Somerhalder. Yeah, he's a little hot, right? It was really an honor. That one I got called directly for. I didn't even have to audition, which was great because I had already worked with the producer director of that show, Marco Siega, who directed me in a movie that I did with Nick Cannon called The Underclassmen. Anybody see that? No, I didn't think so. Oh, there's just one. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. You're the one. So yeah, I got called directly for it. I didn't even have to audition, and Melissa Zhao, who played my daughter, She was amazing to work with. She's actually half Chinese herself, and she was telling me it was the first time that she ever got to have anybody play like a family member, because she's never had a family member. That's the thing is when you're Asian and you're working in Hollywood, one of the drawbacks is that they have a harder time casting a family around you, because there's not as many Asian actors around to choose from. And so anytime I have to go up for the role of, let's say, a mom of 3 kids, I pretty much know that my shot is about this, because they're gonna have to find 3 Asian kids or 3 half Asian kids that can act. And you know, with as much, you know, mixing and everything as there is in the States, it's still hard to find Asian actors young Asian actors even, you know, who can play that. So she and I were really happy to be able to work together, because we got to play family, which she never does. And she actually looks a lot like my daughter. Like, not if I don't have a daughter, I have a dog. But if I had a daughter, I would imagine that that's what she would look like. I would hope so. I mean, she's absolutely gorgeous, and she's so smart and so sweet. So yeah, it was a really, really great experience. Yes.
What about how do you like playing on Arrow?
Oh, Arrow! Yeah, anybody seen the new Arrow? Awesome! It is doing so well. I am so proud of that show. I got cast in the Green Arrow. I actually got a call from my agents. There was a breakdown that came out. They were auditioning girls for the role, and it, you know, called for a girl, an Asian girl, to play Arrow, who could do to play a China White, who could do martial arts and kick butt. And I thought, well, Lucy Liu's already busy, so who else are they gonna get? I was like, this is. I don't know why I didn't just get an offer for this. And of course, you know, I got a call from the production company saying, you know, why don't we just give this to you? I was like, yeah. So it was the producer on it, Andrew Kreisberg, gave me a call and offered me the role. And well, he was so cute. He was trying to sell me on it. Like, he had to actually sell me on the role, and like telling me about the character and about the show and about how it was going to be so much edgier and grittier and all this stuff. And he was like, so we would love to have you. I'm like, I'm in. Like, you didn't even have to go through any of that. I was already in before you even called me. So yeah, that was one of those great gifts, you know. And I've been lucky enough to shoot 3 episodes so far, and I'm still alive. I'm not dead yet, which, you know, my mom always asks, because I pretty much die in everything I do. I'm always the bad girl. I always end up dead somehow. And my mom always asks, so do you die? I'm like, no, I'm all good. I'm all good in this one so far. But you know, I've died in so many of the film roles and television roles that I've done that I've always joked that I'm gonna put together a reel of all my death scenes and have it play at my funeral when I die. I think it would be a good laugh, hopefully. Yeah. Not too morbid.
Do you have a
Anyone else?
question?
Way back. What was it like filming the episode on the Sentinel? Yeah.
Wow, you are going way back. Showing my age. The Sentinel. You know, I seriously do not even remember any of that, except that it was shot in Vancouver and I had a kissing scene. That's the only thing I remember. I don't even remember anything about the character that I played. I don't remember the name. I do remember I wore a blue dress because I got to keep it. But that's, seriously, I can't, that must have been, what, 20 years ago? About 15? Yeah, I was much too young 20 years ago. Anyone else? Hi. My favorite role that I've ever done, ever? That's a lot to choose from. You know, I have to say, I guess one of the favorite roles I've ever done was maybe playing Cassandra on Scorpion King. because it was a real breakout role for me. Career-wise, it was huge for me. I had, so far I had only done mostly television. I had done a handful of movies, but always small parts in big movies. And I had done a bunch of television. I had already done Nash Bridges and Martial Law, 2 television series on CBS. But I hadn't worked for an entire year after Martial Law. I was kind of at that point in my career where I was wondering if I was ever going to work again, and wondering if maybe I should be looking for something else. Kind of wishing that I had gone to college and, you know, didn't put all my eggs in one basket. But unfortunately, I did. And lucky enough, this role came up on Scorpion King, and it was such a long shot to get this. It was absolutely every girl in Los Angeles, whether she could act or not, was up for this role. Every single ethnicity, all heights, all colors. I mean, everybody that I talked to was up for this. Models, they had like Victoria's Secret models who had never acted before in their lives. Thank goodness they couldn't act. And then, and just everyone was going up for this role. And I had to audition 6 times before they finally made their decision. And we had to do screen tests in full-on costume and makeup and everything to see how good we would look in the costumes, because that was such a big part of it, you know, the look of the show. And if you didn't quite have what it took to look good in the costume, then you were out. And let me tell you, being up against all those Victoria's Secret models, it was a little intimidating. But lucky for me, none of them could act. And I went through so much just to get that role, and it was such a long time coming. And it was such a huge boost for my career. I think that's why it's such an important role for me. It was really, and also it was just so much fun, you know, filming with The Rock, who was so hot. And getting to ride camels, and well, riding the camel part was fun, but having to ride a camel in a G-string on a wool blanket is not so fun, just to let you know, in case you ever wanted to try that. But, you know, there were so many fun animals on that show. I got to ride an elephant, I got to ride one of these giant buffalo. The guy who was like the animal wrangler on the show, his name is Sled. He would laugh at me because he would always say, "You want to get up on this thing?" And I would never say no, because my goal in life is to get up on and ride every single animal there is that can be ridden. And he would just laugh because he would call me the monkey. I would just climb up on anything. And you know, I got to play with snakes on that, and I got to hold a little goat that had been born just an hour before, and play with monkeys and parrots. I mean, I am such an animal lover. It was my heaven to be on that show.
All right, we got time for one more question. Shoot.
Getting into acting, what do you recommend getting started?
Okay, for all the aspiring actors out there, my one recommendation is to be lucky. It's such a crazy business that you can be as prepared as you could possibly be, and that would be the smartest thing. But there are so many. I still go to acting classes. I mean, there are so many professional actors, Oscar winners, that I see in acting classes, and I'm always like, wow, Helen Hunt still goes to class. That's awesome. You know, you have to be as prepared as you can possibly be. Study as much as you can possibly study. Get as much experience as you can possibly get. So when the off chance comes that you do get that one opportunity that's going to help boost your career even just a little bit, that you have as much of a shot as you can. The rest is all luck. And unfortunately, that's kind of life, isn't it? You know, so much about life is about timing and just being prepared. And I would recommend that you enjoy the craft craft of acting and not the success as an actor. Because if you love what you do, it doesn't matter whether or not you get cast in a role or how well your career is doing, as long as you get to do what you love to do.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Miss Kelly Hu! Woo!